To live in the city in a gigantic country like Brazil involves a broad range of possibilities, from small cities to megalopolises, from coastal towns to cities in the Amazon, from cities with huge historical significance to others recently built, and on it goes. But what's it like to live in Brazilian cities? And what does the right to the city mean? Having access to decent housing and transportation, education, health, culture, and other services is part of our right to the city. But that's not all. The right to the city also involves the right to participate, the collective power to transform the city, to make it fair and truly democratic. But there are extremely serious problems that prevent us from fully exercising our right to the city. The cost of living in cities is very high. Land which we need to live, work, construct community facilities and leisure spaces is concentrated in the hands of a few. Decisions about the use of public lands generally happen behind closed doors, serving the interests of the property market over the majority of the population. People are excluded from the places where decisions are made about the city, and even about the places they live in. Transport and urban mobility systems are precarious, and there are serious failings in the water and sewage systems. The list of problems keeps on growing, but these problems don't affect everybody in the city in the same way, particularly since inequalities are immense. Look here. The places where cities are considered and created have traditionally been occupied by white men. So it's no wonder that being a woman and living in the city means facing daily restrictions to freedom of movement. For example, crowded buses and poor lighting not only limit mobility, but also expose women to violence and sexism. Difficulties accessing schools and creches, long queues at health centers, and sewage on the doorstep further hinder women's already heavy routines. After all, caring for the home and the family are still done almost entirely by women. Added to all this are domestic and urban violence, particularly when we're talking about Black, indigenous, and trans women. The segregation of cities has also been historically imposed on the Black population, which continues to be exploited and oppressed, while its contributions are systematically erased. As a consequence of racism, Black people generally live in precarious housing, without basic sanitation or other essential public services. Black communities' cultural, religious, and leisure activities are constantly criminalized. To make matters worse, public security policies always target Black men and Black women, often in the name of the war on drugs. These urban problems cannot become normalized. In fact, they are constructed daily. It can therefore be addressed through policies that seek to tackle inequalities and respect the right to the city. The right to the city necessarily involves the right to participate in and decide on the future of the city. And many people have organized to change the situation, to guarantee grassroots participation and change the face of our cities. These are social movements, grassroots organizations, collectives, unions, associations, and cultural groups working to transform the right to the city into reality. The Women's Forum of Pernambuco is part of this whole movement. It's a feminist collective created in 1988 to bring an end to all forms of exploitation and oppression of women, and remains active today, denouncing violence from the racist, patriarchal, capitalist system and proposing pathways towards fairer cities. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when inequalities became even more visible and profound, women from the forum mobilized every day and in various ways with solidarity activities for food distribution, running health protection campaigns, denouncing the increased number of femicides, and calling for access to water, emergency aid, and vaccines. Thousands of initiatives such as this are happening in low-income neighborhoods around Brazil and are run by Black and women's organizations. The city is an arena for rights.